Right, so let's look at income tax and deductions. So we've some key terms here. So obviously these are the ones that are in your notes anyway. So they're ones to have a read through, things like gross pay, commission, deductions, standard rate, cutoff point. All of these things are really, really important when you're answering these questions. So it's really important that you know what they all stand for, what they all mean, and then how you can use them in practice in the questions. So things like standard rate cutoff point, that is the highest amount that a person can earn at the standard rate of tax, and anything over that will be charged at the higher rate of tax. So that's going to be important in terms of us answering questions. Tax credit is a reduction in the amount of tax we have to pay. So we work out the tax we pay and we take away any tax credits that we might have. Tax payable obviously is the amount of tax I pay. USC, PRSI, these are examples of types of deductions that we'll have to take away from a person's income. And net pay or net income is the amount of money that I take home after all my deductions are taken away. And that includes income tax. So income tax, USC, PRSI, once all of those are kind of taken away, any other deductions that I might have, so health insurance or any sort of insurance or anything like that, anything that comes out of my pay, once that's all gone, net pay is exactly what I take home, what actually will go into my bank account that I can bring home with me. So calculating gross income and wages, I suppose, what we'll start with. So when you work, you earn an annual gross income, or you may earn an hourly wage. So it can depend. It depends on the job. It depends on different things. So in addition, some workers receive commission on items sold, and that's usually a percentage. So they might get 2% commission or 3% commission. So when we're working out someone's income, we have to take into consideration the hourly rate if they have one, and if they did any overtime or any time and a half. So time and a half is where a person earns 1.5 times what they usually get. So 1.5 times of their usual income. So looking at this example, Emma earns an hourly wage of €15. She earns 1.5 that wage on the weekend, so time and a half. So she gets time and a half on the weekends, and she gets a commission of 10% on any sales that she makes as well. One week she works 40 hours making sales of €220, also works 7 hours on Saturday. Find her gross pay for the week. So let's see. So she works 40 hours first of all. So we're taking that to be 40 hours during the week. So 40 hours at €15 an hour. And we can simply just plug that into our calculator then to get her pay in terms of those weekly hours, or her hourly wage. She makes sales. Well, we'll go maybe with the overtime first. So €7 on a Saturday, and on a Saturday she works time and a half, so she earns 1.5 that wage on a weekend. So let's work that out. So if her normal wage is €15, was that what we said? €15, yeah. Times my 1.5. So she gets $22.50 on Saturday. And how many hours did she work? She worked 7. So it is obviously worth her while to work on a Saturday. So we get 157.50. Okay, so we have two parts there we're going to have to add up. The last part then, of course, is the sales. So €220 of sales. And we're told that she makes 10% commission. So we get 10% of those sales, which is €22. And that's going to be added on to her income as well. So her income ends up being 600 plus the 157 plus the 22. And adding all that up, we get an answer of 779.50. And that's our end result then, or how much Emma makes in the week. And that's her gross pay. So we haven't had any income or income tax or USC or anything like that to take off Emma's pay yet. Looking at an exam question then that uses some of those aspects. So John works as part of a sales team. He earns a basic rate of $12.60 per hour. It's going to be important. In addition, he gets commission of 22% on sales above €200. So 22% on any sales he makes above 200 each week. So he's only given commission on certain sales. So it's not all his sales, but it's over anything over 200. So during a particular week, he worked 45 hours and made sales amounting to $350. Find his gross pay. So first of all, 45 hours at $12.60 an hour gives him a pay of €567. Then in terms of his sales, so he made 350, so let's take away the 200. So 150 is what he is over that 200, and he gets 22% on that amount. So noticing that it's not 22% of all of it, as we said at the start there. It's only on any sales over that 200 mark. So we'll add the two of those together, and he gets a total pay of €600 for the week. Now for part 2, during the following week he worked 51 hours, included 3 hours on a Sunday. He receives 1.5 times the basic rate, so time and a half. His gross pay was $713.20. Find the amount of sales that he makes. So what we have to consider is that his gross pay is made up of, as we saw in the first part, his general hours, his wages in terms of his hours, plus any commission that he makes on sales. Now we can't work out exactly what the commission is on the sales if we don't know what the sales are, but we can work out the amount that he made in terms of hours. So he worked 51 hours at his usual rate of $12.60. Or sorry, no, I'm making a mistake there. We're told this includes 3 hours on Sunday. So he worked only 48 hours at his regular rate of $12.60, which gives me €604.80. On a Sunday, he gets time and a half. If his regular rate is $12.60, then time and a half, 1.5 times that, will give me $18.90. So for the 3 hours that he works on a Sunday, he actually gets $18.90. And that's going to give me €56.70. So altogether, in terms of his weekly wages, in terms of his hourly rates, he's going to make €661.50. And we already know that he actually made in total €713.20. So if we take those away, taking those away from each other, we get €51.70, and that has to be commission. So that must be his commission on any sales. And remember, that's on any sales over 200. And that was 22%. So 22% is 51.70. So 1% is going to be 51.70 divided by 22, which is 235. So 100% is 235. And remember, as I said there, that was the sales over 200. So we add on the 200 as well to get that his total sales would be 435. That's his total sales, because he only gets commission on any sales over 200. Okay, so his total sales were €435. And that would be the part that would be easy to forget, would be adding on that 200 again. So income tax is a deduction that's taken from your income. It is then given to the government, and it's charged at different rates. So there's usually a standard rate and a higher rate depending on how much you're earning. So up to a certain point would be at the standard rate, and then anything above that would be at like the higher rate. Now there's other deductions like PRSI, USC, and those are taken from your income as well. You can have health insurance, and you can have different things like that that are also deducted. And once all those deductions are taken away from your income, then you get what you call your net income. So in order to find the tax payable, which is the amount of income tax that you have to pay, what we do is we split our income into standard and higher. So the amount at the standard rate, the amount at the higher rate, we calculate the tax at each rate, we add them, which gives us what we call gross tax, and then we take away our tax credits, and that will give us then the tax that we actually have to pay, our tax payable. So let's just see how it looks in practice. So Philomena has a salary of 40,000. And the standard rate is 20%, high rate's 40%. Standard rate cutoff point is 35,300. So that means that 35,300 is the tax that is the amount of money she will pay the standard rate of tax on, which is the 20%. So her standard amount of tax would be 7,060. Anything else, any extra part of her income above that amount, would be at the higher rate. And for her, that's 4,700 at 40%. So that gives me 1,880, and adding those together, I get 8,940. Then I have to take away, that's my gross tax. Then I have to take away my tax credits. her tax credits are 2,100. So taking that away, we get that the tax is 6,840, and we're asked to find net income. So her gross income is 40,000 minus the tax payable, which is the 6,840 that we just worked out. And we get that her net income is 33,160 euro. Okay, so just following the steps through. The next part then, Samantha's income tax. We're given her income tax of 9,000. We are told the standard rate is 20, higher rate is 40. She's the standard rate cutoff point. She's tax credits. We're asked to find what's her gross income before tax. So here we've been given actually the answer, and we have to work our way backwards. We've two ways of doing that. So we can think about that she starts with some amount of income, and that income would be split into the standard rate and the higher rate. Now we don't know how much of her money is at the higher rate, but the standard rate is always going to be the same. So we're told the standard rate, her cutoff point is 35,000, so she has to pay at least that. So 35,000 at the 20% that her standard rate is charged at. So she has 7,000 tax at that standard rate. Now we're told she pays 9,000, so that's her tax payable. And her tax payable comes from her taking her gross tax and then taking away the tax credits. So if we take her tax payable and add the tax credits back on, so our tax credits here were 1,200, we will get her actual gross tax. Her gross tax, because again, we're working our way backwards. So taking my 9,000, adding on that 1,200, I get 10,200, and that is her gross tax. That's the total tax that she pays. If we take that then and take away the 7,000 she pays at the standard rate, that means there's 3,200 that is at the higher rate. So that's the tax she pays at the higher rate. And that higher rate is 40%, which means that 3,200 is 40%. 1% then would be 80. So 100 is 8,000. So what that means for us all together is that she pays the 35,000 at the standard rate, the 8,000 that she pays at her higher rate of tax, which means that she has a total income, a gross income of 43,000. Now another way we could do that is let X be the gross income. So X is what we're looking for. That means that the standard rate she pays is still the same, 35,000, and the tax is 20% of that, which is 7,000. The higher rate, we don't actually know that amount, but we can say that it's X minus 35,000. It's her gross income take away 35,000, and the tax is going to be 40% of that, which is 0.4x minus 14,000. And 0.4, remember, is the same as 40%. Then we're going to add those together, which gives me 0.4x minus 7,000, and that is her gross tax. I would take away my tax credits. That would be my next step, which is 1,200, and that gives me 0.4x minus 8,200, and that is my tax payable, which for this question we're told is equal to 9,000. So that means the 0.4x is equal to 17,200, which means that x is equal to 17,200 divided by 0.4, which again is 43,000. So we have two different ways of approaching that question, and you can see which one you feel more comfortable with. Obviously it's personal preference. The second one there maybe has a bit more algebra because it has those x's and things involved, whereas the first one is maybe just that little bit more straightforward in terms of what we have to do. And we're working our way backwards, so you're following the same steps but just in the opposite order to where we did them in the first part. So we look at an exam question then that uses some of those parts. So Emer earns a gross wage of 40,000 per annum, so per annum is just per year, with company A. She pays income tax at a rate of 20% on income up to the standard rate cutoff, and she pays tax at a rate of 40% on the remainder. She has tax credits. Find out how much income tax she pays. So let's have a look. So her total income is 40,000. Her standard rate cutoff point was 35,300, and that was at 20%, which we've seen before was 70/60. What's left over then is going to be 4,700, and that's going to be at the 40%, and that gives me 1,880. I can add those together to get her gross tax. So her gross tax is 8,940. I take away the tax credits. Her tax credits are 1,650. So I get that her tax payable is 7,290. That is her tax payable. For Part B, we're told that she pays health insurance as well as her tax. So her health insurance of 1,500, find her annual income after paying both of those. So she starts off with her 40,000, she pays her tax 7,290, she pays her health insurance 1,500. So taking those both away, we get 31,210 euro, and that is her net income for the year. For Part C, Emer's considering leaving her company and changing jobs. And she's offered a job by another company that'll give her a gross wage of 38,000 and a bonus of 1,500, which is tax free, so she's paying no tax on it. And she's going to use that for her health insurance because it's the same amount as her health insurance, so that would cover that. Everything else is the same, so the tax rates, credits is the same, and we're asked to find how much her income will increase if she takes that job. So this time, 38,000, same idea, so the cutoff point's the same, the rates are the same, 760. This time we'll have a different amount on this side because she's earning slightly less than she was, so 2,700 at the higher rate, 40%, and that gives me 1,080. Adding those together then to get her gross tax, we get that our gross tax is 8,140. Now again, I take away my tax credits, which is 1,650, and I get 6,490 as her tax payable. So this time we have no health insurance to worry about because that's covered by the bonus that she's going to get, and it's tax free, so we didn't have to include that in our tax calculations. And we get that her take-home pay, her net income, is 31,510. So comparing that with her net income in Part B, that is an increase of 300. So being careful there that they asked us how much is it going to increase by. They didn't just ask us what is it, but how much more is it. So it was an increase of 300 euro. Okay, keeping going, we're going to look at some of the other deductions. So PRSI, pay-related social insurance. Again, it's another kind of type of tax really, and it's charged on your income, and generally for most of the questions it'll just be the same rate for all their income. So looking at Georgia here, Georgia has an annual income of 52,000. She pays PRSI a rate of 4%. Calculate her income after PRSI. So we can do the 52,000 by 4%, calculate how much she's going to have to pay, which is 2,080, and we can take that away from the 52,000, and we get 49,920. The other way we could do it is if her income is going to go down, if her PSI is a rate of 4% and that's going to be taken away, after she's paid it, we could go down by 4%. So we're looking for 96% of her total amount, and we could find that and we get the same answer, 49,920. So two ways of doing the same thing. Okay, USC, Universal Social Charge. The rate for USC changes depending on the person's income, and it's similar to income tax in that up to a certain amount you're paying a certain rate, and then on anything over that amount your rate changes. So it's not that depending on your income you'll pay everything at a certain amount. Your income's going to be split up into the different bands, and you have to look and see how much is going to be included in each band. And the rates for USC can change from year to year, so generally it's important to make sure that you're looking at the question to see what they've told you that it is. So for example, these are the rates for 2023, and they talk about thresholds. A threshold is like your cutoff point, so it's like the highest amount that you can earn within that band. So you can see that they've said the first 12,000 or so is at a particular rate. Anything from above that up to 22,920 is at the next rate. Anything from that 22,920 up to 70,044 is at the next rate, and anything above that then is at another rate. So you'll have to split out a person's income potentially 3-4 ways to see how much USC they're going to have to earn. And one way to do this is as is done below here. So rewriting the table to see how much money falls into each of those brackets. And that can be really, really useful to just keep it straight in our head, because when we add up these values here on the left hand side, we should get the total income that they have. So they should add up to be their total income. We add all those together. So let's look at our steps. So as we said there, calculate the amount of income in each band, calculate the USC, add to find the total USC they have to pay. So Shauna here earns 62,000 per annum, so per year. Calculate the total amount of USC. So on the first 12,012, it's 0.5%, and so on and so forth. So these are the rates that we have. So let's rewrite this. Okay, let's rewrite this table. So on the first, or even just kind of rewriting it in some way for ourselves. So in the first 12,012, it's going to be 0.5%. So let's work that out by 0.5%. How much USC is she paying on that first section of her money? 0.5%. €60.06. Okay, so that's one that you'll probably see quite a bit. The next part then is from that up to 22,920. So let's just take that away and work out how much that is, and we can disregard the 1 cent in that calculation. So for the next 10,908, that's going to be at 2%. And even at getting to that point, we haven't got up near Shauna's 62,000 yet. So 10,908 by 2%, and that's going to be €218.16. Okay, €218.16. So now, next part. 22,920 up to 70,044. So we kind of know that Shauna's gonna be stopping here in this band. So her income's going to fall somewhere within this band. So this is the last one she's going to be in. Now it's not all of her income, it's just anything from 22,920 up to as high as she can go. So her highest point that she can go to is 62,000. Okay, that's the most income that she has. So let's take away the low part of that, which is the 22,920, to see how much she's going to have in this bracket here. And it's going to be 39,080. So that's what's going to fall in the last bracket there, 39,080. Okay, and that's going to be at 4.5%. So over here we can work that out by 4.5%, and that's going to give me an answer of 1,758.60. Okay, and adding those together, we get an answer of 203,682. And what we can also do is just add up over here just to make sure that we're happy that when we add these back up we get the 62,000. So we split out our income in 3, so into those 3 bands. So even what we did there at the end where we're saying, well, her income's going to fall in here because the last bracket is up to 70,000 and she's not going to hit that. So looking to see maybe where are we going to be stopping, because that'll give us a hint of maybe where we have to do that calculation on the right hand side there. So that's her total USC. So the total amount of USC that she will have to pay will be €2,036.82. Looking then at an exam question that uses that, so you can see our exam question here gives us the rates. So this one was from 2021, they were using the rates from 2020. So the rates are given below, excluding the top rate. And at what level of annual income does a worker start paying the top rate of USC? So this is kind of backwards to what we were doing, because our table in the last question was given with kind of the bands, whereas this one is just given on the first 12,000, the next 8,000, the next 49,000. So we have to work out what is that what is that top bracket? What do you have to be earning before you get there? So we need to add up the 12,012, the 8,472, the 49,560, see what that gives us. Gives us 70,044. So you have to be earning above 70,044 before you'll be getting that top bracket. Okay, anything above that amount. How much USC will a worker have paid in total if they pay the maximum amount due at each of the first 3 rates? So how much will they pay if they pay the max in each of the first 3 rates? So for the €12,012, they're paying all of that, and they're paying, that's a rate of 0.5%. The next part then was the 8,472, and that was at a rate of 2%. And then the 49,560 is at a rate of 4.5%. So let's just double check those to make sure I've got those correct. I do. So we can work those out. So we've seen some of these before. And again, a lot of the time you will see, so this first one comes up quite a lot, the €60.06, because most people will have hit over that amount. The next part, I suppose, is different than what we had in our last question. So we're expecting a different answer here. So 169.44, and then the 49560 by 4.5% gives me €2,230.20. We can add those together to see what the total amount of tax this person would pay is, because they're paying the maximum for each bracket. Okay, looking then at part C. John's annual income is 54,800. Find the amount of USC he will pay. So its total is 54,800. Okay, so first of all, 12,012 is going to go into the first bracket. The next 8,472 will go into the next bracket. We already have the answer for both of those, €6.06, 169.44. We need to see what would be left. Okay, what's left in his income? Okay, the 54,800. So we've already used 12,012, and we've already used the 8,472. So what's left over would be 34,316, and that's not enough to fill out that whole bracket, but it's going to be at 4.5%. So we get 1,544.22. So adding those together, we get €1,773.72. So that's the total amount of USC that he will pay on his income. Okay. Mary pays €1,602.72 in USC. Find her annual income. Well, first of all, I would say looking at Mary's, we can see that the amount of USC she's paying is below the total amount for those first 3. So she definitely ends in that third one. So her last bit of income is going to be in that third bracket. So Mary pays, let's just copy that down. She pays 1,602.72. Let's take away the 169.44, and let's take away the €60.06, because those are the first 2 bands, if you like, of USC, and she's definitely paying those. So we want to see what's left. 1,373.22, and this is the third band, and the third band is 4.5%. So 4.5% of her income in that bracket is €1,373.22. So 1% we divide by 4.5. So 100% gives me 30,516. So then adding those together, so the 12,012, the 8,472, and the 30,516, we get an answer of 51,000. Okay, so again, that's kind of similar to one that we've seen earlier when we were working out different types of tax that they paid, when we're working out percentages of different things. So it's really setting up these questions can be the hardest part, and working backwards in that way. Patrick has an annual income of 83,000, pays a total of €3,496.18 in USC. Find the top rate of USC. Okay. So we worked out in the first part that anything above 70,044 is going to be at the top rate of USC. So if he has an income of 83,000 and anything above 70,044 is going to be paid at the top rate, then he has €12,956 that's going to be at the top rate. Okay, so that's going to be at the top rate of USC. So whatever answer we get, the top rate is a percentage of that amount. We also know that the total income is 3496.18. 3496.18. So that's my total USC. So that is the total USC. Let's take away the total amount that we worked out in part B, which was how much USC somebody pays if they've paid through all the first three. So that was the 2,459 and 70 here. So 2,459.70. Let's take that away because whatever, what was his name? Patrick? Patrick. So whatever Patrick is earning, whatever he's paying at this higher rate, he's gone through the previous three rates already. So this is what he pays at the highest band of USC. That's the amount of USC he's paying. Okay, so he's paying that amount of USC. That is a proportion, a percentage of his income at that band, which was the 12,956. And we'll change that to a percentage then. Okay, let me figure out how to write this in without messing it up. There we go. And that gives me 8%. So the highest rate is 8%. Now we could have kind of guessed that, but it's important obviously to be able to work it out properly. So the key things there, we're working out how much income is he paying over into that top rate, how much USC would be paid, and how much of it is kind of comes from that top rate, and then using that to work it as a percentage, to rewrite that as a percentage of the total income. I think that was the last part we had to work out for that one. So the last thing we're going to just look at really quickly is calculating net income overall. So to calculate net income, we get our tax payable, we get any other deductions, and we take them away from the gross income. That's kind of the key thing. So get your tax payable, any deductions, take them away from gross income. So just putting together the previous parts. I'm going to skip over this example just to look at the exam question instead. So Fiona earns a gross wage of $1,550 every fortnight. She pays income tax, a universal social charge, and pay-related social insurance on this wage. Each fortnight, Fiona pays income tax at the rate of 20% on the first $1,300 she earns, and 40% of the remainder. She's tax credits of this per fortnight. Find how much income tax she pays per fortnight. So let's work that out. Her income tax. So she earns $15,050. On the first 1,300 of that, that's going to be the standard rate, and that will be 20%. So 20% of the 1,300 is €260. Anything over that, which is 250, is at the 40%. So 250 by 40% is €100. So 100 of her euro is going to be at that higher rate of tax. So she's paying €360 is her gross tax. Now tax credits, she has 126. So those are her tax credits, so we'll take those away. So that gives that she pays €234 in her tax. That's her tax payable. So she pays tax of €234 per fortnight. Each fortnight she also pays USC on her gross wages, and the rates are 1% on the first 462, 3% on the next 214, and 5.5% on anything that's left on the balance. Find the total amount of USC. So let's write down those rates. Okay, so 1% on the first 462. So on the first 462, that's going to be 1%. Then 3% on the next 214. And 5.5% on the balance, on anything that's left. So what does she have left? 462 plus 214 is 676. She earns 1,550. Take away that 676, leaves us with 874. So she has to pay that tax on 874 euro. So 562 by 1% gives me 462. 214 by 3% gives me 6.42. And 874 by 5.5% gives me 48.07. And adding those all up, we get an answer of 59 euro and 11 cent. And that's her total USC per fortnight. She also pays PRSI amounting to 18 euro each fortnight. And we're asked to calculate the sum of her fortnightly deductions. So that's going to be her tax plus USC plus PRSI. So her tax from the first part is 234, the USC is 59.11, and the PRSI we've been told in the last part is just 18 euro per fortnight. So adding those all up, and notice that we're not really changing how we're doing it, even though it's in fortnight and we haven't really been looking at fortnights, we've been looking at years. It's still the same idea. And then write the sum of her fortnightly deductions as a percentage of her gross wage. So taking her, this is the sum of her fortnightly deductions. They want us to write it as a percentage of gross wage. So as a percentage of this. And we've been asked to give it to one decimal place. So we'll write it, first of all, as accurately as we can. So 20.0716. And to one decimal place, that is going to be 20.1%. So her deductions are close to 20%. 20.1% of her gross wage is deducted from her wage, which again, probably fairly standard, really. Okay, so key things with all of this, I suppose, and those last steps really kind of sum it up, I suppose. So if you're getting someone's net income, you need to get the tax, you need to get any other deductions, so USC, PRSI, health insurance, whatever else they pay, take them all away, and that will give you your net income. So it's making sure that you're happy with how to find USC, how to find PRSI. The USC can be particularly interesting there with the bands, so it's working out kind of like we did there for each band. How much are they paying in each category, in each band? The tax, the income tax, it's splitting it out at the start. Split them out, work out the standard higher rate, add them together, take away tax credits, that gives you tax payable. It's the same kind of formula each time. So with all of these questions, if you can just learn off the method, learn off the formula for them, what you do each time, then it will make more sense to you, be able to answer the questions, no problem. And the few then that we had that kind of work backwards, that just kind of push you that little bit further. So just making sure you're happy with all of those elements, because those can all be factors of an exam question, as we saw in that last one there.